Hello, everyone. This is Patrick from Applicant Healthcare. Welcome to our latest Applicant Healthcare podcast as part of our regular webinar series on nurse and healthcare recruitment topics and healthcare human resource matters generally. To watch our webinar videos and view the presentation notes, you can find the link to our YouTube page in the podcast notes. You can also find all of our free resources and learn how Applicant Healthcare finds more qualified nurse applicants for our healthcare clients by visiting us at applichanthealthcare.com.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to another interview. I'm very excited about today's guest. I'm Adam from Applicant Healthcare, and this is our webinar series on nurse recruitment secrets, various ways that you can hire and retain more nurses and other healthcare candidates. At Applicant Healthcare, we specialize in helping you find and hire nurses from outside of the job boards. We specialize in sourcing candidates from social media, phone apps, and websites so you can reach further and be where candidates are with your nursing job ads. Today, we're joined by Bradley Paolo, and I was on Bradley's podcast a couple of weeks ago. It was a good conversation. He's very intelligent and knows his way around this industry. So I'm going to let Bradley introduce himself, and then we'll jump into our conversation. Today, we're going to be talking about low-cost, high-value nurse recruitment strategies, particularly around engaging your existing database and that gold mine that you have in your ATS. So over to you, Brad, for the introduction.
Thanks, Adam. So my name is Bradley DePaulo. I am the founder and CEO of a company called Candidate Hub. And so what we do is kind of taking what Adam just talked about, sort of another step further in that we're a data-driven engagement platform. So what that means is we help our clients create automated candidate experiences at scale. So that you can re-engage candidates that are within your applicant tracking system or your recruitment database and see which candidates may be engaging with your content and reconvert them or remarket to them to get them into quality applicants for your roles, reducing both time to hire, cost per hire, and recruiter productivity. So,
great, thanks. So if you're wondering how to engage your database or even find more candidates in general, we have Bradley, who owns a company that does just that. So very wise to keep tuned in and learn what Bradley's approach is to this. So first, would love to talk a little bit about the role of applicant tracking systems. Everyone has one. Not a lot of people know how to use them to their maximum potential. How, in your opinion, can ATS platforms streamline and optimize nurse recruitment processes?
Well, applicant tracking systems are just that. They're built for tracking your applications, and they've tried to get into marketing and that sort of thing. But what they're really good at and what they should be most used for is managing the application flow. So once they apply, moving them from stage to stage, screening, matching, offer letters, rejections, all of that stuff that has to go with the workflow of the application process. So that's where applicant tracking systems really sort of shine, is in that after they hit submit on the apply now page. From there to hire, that's their wheelhouse.
Mm-hmm. And we see a lot of our clients particularly use their applicant track system for tracking, but not to its maximum potential. What are some of the pitfalls and unutilized features that you see as benefits that our listeners could utilize more?
Yeah, one of the things that I see, a couple of things that really drive me crazy. One is when companies put on their applications or on their job postings, only those successful candidates that are shortlisted essentially will be contacted. recruiters do that a lot to mitigate the workflow, but candidates don't like it. They really don't. Another pitfall of a lot of applicant tracking systems is register to apply. There's a lot of people talking about register to apply. I've seen it I've heard it on a lot of podcasts and whatnot lately, but I really wanted to dig into that to see, is there an impact of having that register to apply on your career page? And so I actually ran a poll within a nursing group, and 70% of the nurses that responded said register to apply will deter them for applying for a job. So, and I get where that originally came from, was so that I could capture their email address, capture if they bounced, abandoned cart kind of thing. But there's better ways to do that in today's market. To me, that's like asking a customer to give up their credit card number to let them into your store. It just, because in the recruitment world, the currency is the email address. So you're not going to get the email address till they're well ready to give it to you. So that register to apply, it's a painful process that needs to go. The other pitfall of applicant tracking systems where it's not being utilized enough is managing and keeping it current. So, companies are struggling to find nurses, or hospitals are struggling to find nurses, other healthcare professionals, even people in other industries. But they're sitting on a database of hundreds of thousands, if not millions, of candidates that have shown interest in their company before. That, maybe they, like, if you think about every time you hire, you get down to 2-3 candidates, you hire one, and then those other 2, 3, 4 candidates that you didn't hire but were this close, get thrown out. They're wasted candidates. You never go back to them unless you buy their data again through a marketing campaign. So, those are some of the things that we see that really impact in a negative way through the ATS people's ability to recruit more effectively.
I'd love to talk a little bit more in detail about those two. The first one is register to apply. Does that come as a baked-in feature to the ATS that you can't change, or do ATSs allow you to be flexible around that?
It depends on the ATS. A lot of them, you do have the flexibility to turn it on or off. But companies are, especially in healthcare, there's questions about privacy and collecting data, and we want people to be able to register, create an account, and come back to it. So security teams sometimes get involved and they want you to have that feature on. But I don't know of any applicant tracking system. I could be corrected on this, but I don't know of any that force you to use it. But I know that I think it's a default feature in a lot of them, especially some of the older ones.
Yes, and I understand that in talent acquisition, recruitment, HR, even, there's often pressure from outside to conform with certain rules, but we're less powerful in getting other teams to conform with what we want. For example, getting the recruitment and marketing melded well together and having the marketing team of the organization running campaigns for you. There's often a disjoint there. So it's good to hear that potentially that feature can be turned on and off if people listening are struggling with it. I'll pull up Tim Huddle. Agrees. He says we need to accept applications more like sales leads. Express your interest, then someone will call. To make it quick is going to make it easier for the candidate.
Yeah, if I can just expand on what Tim just said there, and I love how you referred to it as a sales lead, Tim. because our philosophy at Candidate Hub is bringing the e-commerce type approach to recruitment. So if you think of e-commerce, some of the biggest e-commerce stores that we think of is either Shopify or Amazon. And think of Amazon, for example. Amazon pretty much tells you what to buy and when to buy it. They're constantly sending emails. They're constantly in your social media feeds. If you look at one product, they'll send you emails on 5 products that go with it. They're constantly telling you what to buy and when to buy it, and it works. But in that spirit, we need to create candidate capture in that sense of sales leads, in not asking for their credit card right off the bat, and making the first barrier to entry very, very easy. I was on a career site earlier today where they apply now at the end of the job description was first name, last name, email, CV optional. So they weren't even requiring you to upload a CV to apply for the job, because all they want is your contact info, your email address. They've got it. Then they can look you up on LinkedIn. They can do all kinds of different things. They can market to you. They can follow up with you if they want more information. And I'm more likely on a mobile phone to just fill that in and say, hopefully they'll reach out, or maybe I'll reach out later with send them my email address or my resume when I get home. We need to make it really, really low friction in the very first part of the process. Historically, we wanted to create friction because we were getting so many applications. We said, if we increase the friction, the tire kickers, the ones that'll say, I can apply as a mechanic because I drove a car once, will not apply. But what we've realized is all that does is eliminates the people that we want. And the ones that are going to kick tires and apply to a million jobs apply anyway. And so you're doing more harm than good. So if you lower the friction and then do the rest of the due diligence afterwards, you're going to be in a much better position in bringing it. I don't know too many hospitals who have the luxury of creating friction and eliminating applications for nurses right now.
Yeah, I can speak from personal experience in our business. We're doing ads on Facebook, for example, and able to get a pretty decent flow of candidates compared to job boards. Clients are really interested and intrigued how we do that. And the main difference is the clients before were sending people to their career site to apply. So it wasn't a congruent experience, and they needed to fill out that whole registration on their mobile. We created something within Facebook that let them apply in 60 seconds using similar information.
Facebook leads, just like Facebook leads or whatever. Yeah.
So what you mentioned, see the numbers go up 6 or 7-fold. So one thing I've noticed, and I mentioned on your podcast, was how often things which seem counterintuitive in healthcare recruitment work. So, for example, we ran advertisements that were a little bit blurry in the photo, very obviously generated by people's phones instead of professional photographer. And they outperformed the pristine ad of the stock photo-esque nurse in the clinical environment, because it's more natural. And we're all sitting in our offices or home in our suits or pajamas if you're at home. But nurses are out there in the real world, like they're normal people. They're wearing their scrubs. They're busy, and they don't have time for a lot of the corporate barriers that have been put up over the course of the last 20 years of digitalization. So if a nurse comes to one of our clients, like, they can apply pretty quickly. I'd love to touch upon the second part, which you mentioned on engaging a database, because we're all about creative nurse recruitment strategies and ways to find candidates that are different and new, because what is going on now isn't really working for a lot of people. This one seems so obvious and so simple, but hardly anyone's doing it well that we've come across. Engaging database of candidates who have previously applied. I'm wondering if you could expand on that a little bit more and talk through the process of going from a cold database to an engaged database that is consistently spitting up applications.
Yeah, historically in recruitment, we've always had the mentality of, I want to see what else is out there. Even I've even seen it. You throw in. I know there's recruiters that are on here are going to go, yeah, I've done this. You throw a rock star candidate at a hiring manager, and they love them, and they go, "Can you get me a couple more so I can compare?" Like, you know, if you lost your keys and you found them in the first place you looked, would you keep looking just in case there might be a better set somewhere else? You know, you're going to just move on. In recruitment, we always start the process over again. If we did that in marketing, we would lose our jobs. So if I did a marketing campaign, picked up 100 leads, sold 2 products, and then started all over, took those 98 people that didn't buy, threw them out the window and started over again, I would lose my job. The reason we do it historically in recruitment is because applicant tracking systems are terrible at giving you the ability to search within the ATS for candidates. And it's like a computer. It goes out of date 3 days after, right? Like the moment you bring your computer home and set it up on your desk, it's out of date. And so recruiters historically go to LinkedIn because LinkedIn is more up to date. So what we would do with clients, or what we do with clients, is we would take a sample of the database or the entire database, depending on the size, and run them through some marketing campaigns, email marketing campaigns, text message marketing campaigns, things like these are all really low cost. Like, it doesn't cost you anything to run an email campaign. It might cost you 1 cent or a tenth of a cent to send a text message. And you can quickly see which information is up to date, which information is out of date. For the ones that are out of date, it's easy to scrape social sites and whatnot for more up-to-date information. And then, you know, you can see from there which ones are engaging with you, which ones are sort of looking at your content, which ones are checking out your website, which ones are reading your blogs, visiting your career page, all that sort of stuff. So starts by taking those email addresses and running them through really low cost email marketing campaigns.
Yeah, we're doing that with something called sender.net at the moment, which is a email marketing software. There's plenty out there, but that's one that we use. If anybody would,
and the challenge with just straight email marketing software compared to a platform like Candidate Hub or ISOM's recruitment marketing automation is, with those you can see open rates and click-through rates, but that's about it. That's where it stops. So with our software, I can tell you if they opened the email, if they clicked on the link, what they did after they got to the landing page. Did they watch video? Did they click any buttons? Did they go to the career site? Did they look at any other jobs? What did they do before they even got there? Like, they may have been on your site 6 times before you ever sent them an email. Email marketing, just straight email marketing, those are really good for sort of outbound. I just want to create a campaign and create a little bit of awareness, but like, to be able to really engage and track, you need a more robust, like almost full-on marketing automation platform.
Okay. Yeah, that makes complete sense. And that's where I suppose the high value of it would come in, where
Yeah,
you can take actions based on what they're doing.
100%.
Do you have any more creative or different nurse recruitment strategies? Because everyone's always looking for that extra value. Anything you came across in your
Well,
work?
another thing that we talked about on the podcast a couple of weeks ago, something that you guys do, for example, is a quick 5-6 question 60-second survey. This is actually a great way to re-engage your database as well. Send out, take that sample of email addresses and send them a quick survey to fill out. 60 seconds. That's all you need. You just want people love to give their opinion. If you don't believe me, just go to social media. People love to share their opinions. So it's a great way to get them to engage. And like you guys do, once you get them to engage, now you have their email address, that they've responded, you can get them on the phone, or you can put them into other email nurture sequences or whatnot. So using a strategy like that is great. Some of the stuff that you talked about as well with social media advertising, people today, believe it or not, prefer the raw. I'm not surprised that you said, the blurry camera phone video does better than the stock photography video, because people enjoy that raw. They expect that raw. They feel it's more authentic. They feel it's more real. And let's face it, we all have 4K cameras on our phones now. So, take some video footage of people doing really cool stuff in your hospital and share it on social media. Create little 30-second clips. The thing is when you're trying to capture their attention, what a lot of recruiters do wrong, and it's not their fault because they're not marketers, is they make it all about what we want. Even if you look at the job descriptions, like when most people put out a job description, this is what I want, right? This is what I need for you to be able to qualify for the job. But when somebody's sort of, again, in that early e-commerce or early shopping phase, it's all about what they want and what they need. You need to capture their attention by appealing to something inside them. So when we talk about it in a business point of view, it's what's the pain and what's the solution. And so if you really want to capture attention of nurses, talk to your nurses that are on staff and say, what's your biggest pain? Like we talk a lot about building what we call an ideal candidate profile. So that doesn't mean, that they're a registered nurse, they have 5 years experience, they have ER experience or OR experience. It means they're a certain demographic, not like, don't take DEI out of it. That's very important. But you still sort of, demographics do play a side of it, but they're a certain, they like TikTok, they're on Instagram, they what do they like, where do they hang out, and what are some of the challenges that they're facing in their organization, in their role, that you can address. What are some of the pain points? Why do they like working for you? The people that have been around for 15 years, why are they still there? They survived COVID. Why are they still there? Why haven't they left your hospital? These are the types of information or conversations that you should be having to get information. And that's the type of information that you should be using to market to new nurses, to say, we understand this pain point and this is how we solve it for our staff.
Yeah. If you have employees, then there must be something there that makes them want to.
Especially like long-term ones, there's a reason they're still there.
Yeah.
And exactly. It's probably not just a paycheck.
Yeah. So whenever it comes to the content that you would use to engage your database, what would you recommend goes into those email or message campaigns? What should employers be saying?
There's a couple. Well, you know what? There's a few tools that you can use that are really cheap or free, low cost tools. Chat GPT will help you write emails. There's a great product called Lavender. That's an AI email scoring tool. And what it does is essentially it's built for sales, but if we go back to this, we're pitching an opportunity to a new candidate, right? So it'll test your subject line, your layout of your content, and all this stuff, and score it and give you suggestions. So there's some great tools out there that'll help you build the content of your email. But again, it really goes down to where they are in the process. The earlier they are, and that's why knowing their engagement level is so important, because at the very onset of the process, they want information that's going to help them. Tips, resume buildings, webinars, blogs, articles. Later on in the process, you can hit them with more specific, these are the benefits of working for us. This is the types of jobs we have open right now. These are the ones we think you'd be a good fit for. But if you don't know that engagement level and where they're at, it becomes like a perfect example is I was buying jeans for my son a couple of years ago for Christmas, and they said, text this number and you'll get a 10% or 20% discount. So what do? I text the number. I'm not stupid. But then every week they were sending me discount codes for jeans. And I'm like, I'm not buying jeans right now. But if they had sent me a discount code because I'd been on their website, oh, we noticed you're on our website here, or don't even have to say that. Just here's a discount code because we saw you're on our website. I'm more likely to use that discount code. What they did was they just kept sending me discount codes, and they pissed me off, and I unsubscribed. And it's the same thing for job shoppers. We need to really know where they're at and send them appropriate info for that stage.
And that's where the marketing automation platform comes in.
Yeah, lead scoring, our platform does lead scoring, so we know we can kind of predict where they're at. If they're early on, if they're low engagement or high engagement, and so you can tailor your messaging based on their stage they're in.
Yeah. Let's go back to our audience. Abum is grateful, and she says she's really loving the broadcast. So thank you. Now we have a question from Selena. I think she'd like to know about the candidate experience. How can recruiters of nurses improve candidate experience using marketing automation or anything else?
So when I launched Candidate Hub, one of the things that I did was I went out and I talked to recruiters about what they wanted. And of course, they just wanted quality candidates. But I also went out and talked to candidates about what they're missing. What is it that's bothering you? And the number one resounding, like 95% to 5% was, we apply for a job and go into a black hole. And so if you're not going to do anything else to improve your candidate experience, communicate. That's the biggest thing. Communicate throughout the process. I sometimes, as part of what I do is, when I'm looking at new clients and stuff, I'll go on and I'll just apply to one of their jobs just to see what the response is. And, sometimes you'll get a response like, if you don't hear from us in a certain amount of days, you can expect that you didn't get shortlisted. Well, that's at least I know, okay, well, it's been 2 weeks. I must not have gotten shortlisted, but it doesn't take long to say, thanks for applying. Unfortunately, we've moved on to different candidates and we'll keep you in mind for the future. That's what candidates are looking for. Like, they would rather have a no than nothing at all. and it's easy for us to not go back because we're so busy with the people that we're trying to move through the process and whatnot, that we don't go back to the ones that we're moving on from. But again, like, they're job shoppers. They may not be a fit today, but they may be a fit in 6 months or a year or 2 years. And if I piss them off now, I'm going to lose them forever. So that's the biggest thing I can say is communication. That's what they're looking for. That's what they're all saying is, I don't want to be in a black hole. Just be honest with me throughout the process.
Yeah. That's another low-hanging, low-cost fruit as well for everyone.
100%.
You don't have to pay for that.
Now, when you're doing it at scale, it's difficult. But a lot of applicant tracking systems will allow you to create automated messages. Every time you move them in a stage, it'll send them an automated message. And with automation tools like ours, you can set rules on, if there's no activity in a certain period of time, then send them an email or whatever, so that you're not trying to remember all of these contacts or candidates that I got to reach out to, because I've got, But my guess is you probably don't have hundreds of thousands of them, because if you did, you wouldn't be here looking for how to get more. But I mean, if you're hiring 1,000, 2,000 nurses a year, it's still a lot.
And Lauren agrees. She says candidates really want that human interaction and the transparency too. Always communicate.
Always.
Give them what they want.
Make it a priority.
They deserve it.
Yep.
So let's talk a little bit about retention, because again, high value on that. The cost of replacing a nurse is great, and too much really whenever certain steps can be taken easily to make nurses more likely to stay. What best practices do you have around retaining nurses?
Yeah, retention, especially in this market, is tough. I mean, a lot of them left because of COVID and just plain burnout. And the ones that stayed are now getting burned out because they're everyone's short-staffed and the demands are high, the stress is high. So that's one of the main reasons people are leaving. People are leaving because, some of them are just going to become travel nurses because they can make more money. There's sometimes not a lot that you can do about that because that's their motivation. And most hospitals don't have the budget to pay all of their nurses what travel nurses are making. But a big thing is, I mean, the ping pong tables and pizza parties of the world are gone. That's not what they're looking for anymore. They just want to be felt and heard. And so if you can have constant communication with your team and, keeping them up to date as to what's going on and asking them questions about what they need and trying to address it, and you're not going to be able to solve every problem. It's just not a reality. I'm not a huge fan of exit interviews. There is value to gain from exit interviews if done properly. But I'm more of a fan of finding out why people are staying and leaning into that. So again, like your nurses that have been around, or your healthcare professionals, or your staff, or your cleaning staff, or whoever has been around for 10 years, or, stuck through a really difficult situation. Why are you still here? I'm not trying to push you out the door, but why are you still here? I want to know why you like getting up and coming to work every day, so that we can lean into that and do more of it.
Goes back to that communication part. That's a key thing that I'm learning here, really, that communication is so low cost, but also so high value.
Very powerful, very effective.
Yeah. So do you have any real world examples of clients that you've worked with, or things that you've seen that could be used as sort of a case study for doing this the best way?
Yeah, I think it's without getting into specifics and naming client names and stuff. Like we have one client that we did a lot of communication work with and tracked and retargeted and got 50 or 60 people to come back and apply for jobs. And so, that's a big number. Because if you think about it, most of us don't buy the first time we go to a job or to an e-commerce site, unless it's something that we really, really want. We don't buy. Think about buying a car, because shopping for a job is as big a purchase as buying a car or buying a new house, right? You're going to do extensive research. You're going to look at all the options, do all kinds of different research and stuff. So Appcast says 92% of people that come to career sites leave without applying. So if you can capture all of those and then put them through retargeting, one example, we put a pop-up on a screen that said, we notice you're browsing from a mobile phone. Would you prefer a reminder email to fill this out later when you get home? So that, at 8 o'clock at night or 10 o'clock at night, they get an email saying, hey, are you still interested in this job? Apply now. Because by the time they get home, they're tired. They forget that they saw this job when they were cranky at work and they were browsing on their phone. And so, different little tactics like that to get people that are visiting your career site, your landing pages, that are not filling out the application, to get them to come back and do it later.
I like that. Picking up the information and then using it at a better time.
Well, you think about, in today's world, you can have a conversation with your spouse about going on vacation, and next thing you know, you're seeing Expedia ads on Facebook.
It's like, yeah, that's crazy.
We can do that in recruitment too.
And people have, whenever you think about it, whenever they go onto Google, for example, they're most likely going on a site and then clicking off it after 10, 15 minutes. They're going on social media to scroll or YouTube to see who's uploaded a new video. So in recruitment, we need to play into that and understand that we're in the same space, which is online traffic. We need to follow the best practices of e-commerce, social media, which are often 10 years ahead of recruitment. I want to close. I want to close with a couple of questions that we have. Lauren said, "Stay interviews are great, but ask you to expand on the pain points that you find with exit interviews. Why are you not a big fan of those?"
Well, historically, my view on exit interviews is always that if somebody's leaving, it's because we did a poor job hiring them in the first place. They weren't the right fit for our organization. Now, if somebody's with you for 20 years and they leave, that's a different story. And there is value to be gained in an exit interview if done properly. But the problem that I have with exit interviews is you're talking to somebody who's pissed off, and they may give you all of the information. Like, they just may dump a bunch of stuff on you, but you have to kind of take it all with a grain of salt. Like, I remember when I was a facilitator, you'd always like score me on this presentation, right, on a scale of 1 to 10, and I would take the 10s and the 1s and throw them out. And I would look at the ones in the middle, because I either really loved you or they really hated you. And so the ones in the middle are the most honest. And to me, it's this, like, and I'm not saying that's 100% right. I'm just saying my feeling on an exit interview is I'm catching somebody at their worst. They're pissed off. That's why they're leaving. There was something that just wasn't right, wasn't met, and so they chose to leave. And so, but like I don't know, there is value to gain from them. They're not a terrible thing. I just prefer, if I had to choose between one of the two, if I was only going to, if I only had enough time and resource to invest in one, I'd rather talk to people that are still here.
Yeah. Okay, that makes sense. Hope that answers your question, Lord.
Yeah. Hopefully, a little bit more insight into what's in my mind, but I'm not saying I'm right either. So just my thoughts.
Finally, Selena has one more question. It's about doing this on scale. So if you're in a large company that has like 10,000 employees, how do you even conceive of the effort to engage and reactivate them? Or is that just an overcomplication? It'd be the same any size.
That's a great question. And that's our wheelhouse. That's the kind of companies that we deal with, 5, 10, 15,000 like employee size companies. If you're not a large company and you're not hiring thousands of people a year, it's almost a little bit overkill. Like, if I was talking to an organization that hires 5 salespeople a year, it'd be like putting a Ferrari engine in a Hyundai. Like, it just doesn't make sense. That's where a tool like Candidate Hub becomes important in automating that personalization, because when you're that large, you don't have the resources, unless you have 1,000 people on your recruitment team, to manage that communication and do it so effectively. But with an automation tool, like a marketing automation tool like Candidate Hub, or like I said, recruitment, ISOM's recruitment marketing, you can really build complex triggered campaigns. So it's almost like, if you can imagine looking at your entire candidate journey and saying, if a candidate does this, I want to do this. If a candidate does this, if their city is this, then I want to send them this info. If they're this, then I want to do this. So I'm not going to lie, it's an effort. It takes a while to get it right. It takes a while to build it. But once you sort of get it humming, then it becomes much easier to manage that large scale communication, because you can write one email with 5 different variations and very easily personalize it to 1,000 different people based on their city, their stage, their profession, their interests, their demographics, their psychometrics, their, depending on what kind of information you have. You can very easily use dynamic content to create large scale personalization with a lot less effort than if you were trying to communicate to all of these people on a one-off.
Yeah, I remember whenever it first came out, it populated your name into a graphic, so it would be someone holding up a little card with your name on it, and I was just blown away. So I'm so excited to see what the next few years come up with AI on that mass personalization.
Yeah, I mean, there's like, a lot of people say, oh, we have personalization. It's like, I can insert hello, contact first name, so it says hi Adam or whatever, right? But if I can personalize the message based on what I know about you,
yeah,
and then I can make that message different for every person in my database, because I know something different about every person in my database, that becomes hyper personalization at scale.
I love that. So that's all we have time for. Brad, where can people find out a little bit more about you if they want to get in touch? I'm
on LinkedIn, just linkedin.com/Brad DiPaolo. Our website is candidatehub.io. So candidatehub.io. And my email address is brad@candidatehub.io.
Awesome. So thanks for that, and thanks for coming on. I enjoyed
Thanks.
this and always learn something when
I
speak with
appreciate
you.
it, Adam. We always have great conversations. I know we both think the same way in terms
Yeah.
of thinking outside the box and marketing to nurses as if we're doing more of a sales e-commerce type approach, and that's why I was love chatting with you.
Yeah. Thank you so much. And we'll be live again here at AppleChat next Friday. And I hope you can catch us then. I'll be putting the event up in the next couple of days. But until then, keep plugging away at your nurse recruitment and get in touch with myself, Adam Chambers on LinkedIn, or Bradley DePaolo if you'd like to learn more about what we do. So thanks everyone for coming and have a great week. Bye.